Hi guys, Ken here again from the InsureMO team based in Sydney, Australia. And today we're really excited to talk to you about ISO. So ISO content is now available inside of our digital insurance product library. So just a reminder, the insurance library is essentially a curated library of insurance products and components, the content that we actually provide and make available to our customers. And most recently, we've been focusing on working with ISO and ensuring that that content is available for our US-based users. As per our prior video, we have a set of global products, global components that are provided by InsureMO team, and it also is the private library where you can actually build your own products and assemble your own components. But in today's video, we essentially want to focus on ISO for our viewers in the US. So we're going to jump straight into DIPL, as we call it, Digital Insurance Product Library. We're going to jump into ISO. And here you can see we have a suite of all of the products that we have loaded in, the content available from ISO. So all products, all versions are now available based on ERC version 2. So for the purpose of today, we're going to jump into the property product. And you can see here that we have all the countrywide and the state layers that have been loaded into the tool. So we're going to jump in and have a look at Texas. You can see a couple of little quick help and suggestion boxes as the user browses through the particular product. So here we have commercial property or fire, it's Texas. Now, the first couple of things we just want to talk to is there's actually two different views that we present for this product. We have what we call the tree view, and then we also have a table view. So first of all, focusing on the tree view, and again, thinking about ISO and the different layers that are provided. So a user may want to, first of all, focus on the country layer within ISO and what that actually provides. So if we select on the country layer, here we can see all of the content that is essentially provided for this product at the country layer. So user can browse through this. You can see in our tree view, we're actually providing a structured presentation of the content and the product in terms of how various items are nested under the core product structure. So things are color-coded. And you can see there's little tool tips here to indicate, you know, what's form data, potentially what's where it's been inherited for. So here you can see, obviously, this is the countrywide layer because we're just specifically looking at countrywide. And you can focus in on various things, right? So we got the fields list, and we got rules. You might be browsing into, into location level data and the like as well. So that's the first view, which is our country layer. Second view is the state layer. So a reminder, we're looking at Texas here. So I might actually want to look at state layer, and this is the content that is unique to the state. So for this particular product and version, you'll see that at the Texas state layer, there is additional content or supplementary content that's provided. And at the state layer, we may have some content that actually has been changed from the countrywide layer. We may have some content that's actually been added at that state layer, and we may have some content that has been deleted. Right, so all of these icons are indicating what's happening in a state layer in comparison to countrywide. And for any of these, we can actually click in and we can have a look. So for example, here we got forms list, and we have a particular form here, and there we can see that this has actually been changed. The next view that we have is the combined layer. So naturally, if you combine a country and a state layer together and you merge them, you will essentially get the pure technical content as provided by ISO in a combined fashion. Right, so again, we can look at this. We can browse our way through the tree. And at this point, we can see that at a fused level, we have all of this content that is being provided. Again, looking at coverages, or looking at risks, or looking at forms, or looking at a group of fields or a group of rules, they are all presented on the screen. Relatively intuitive to understand actually how this product has been presented. And again, we can kind of browse through any of this particular content, right? So we can look at the fields that are sitting under this fire department charge coverage that has essentially been inherited from Countrywide. There's been no changes to that. So that's essentially being presented as is, right? Or alternatively, for this particular risk, we can see that there are a number of coverages or even risks that are sitting under that risk level. We can browse into this particular risk as well. Again, we got more coverages and all the way down through here, we can see all of the content and then inspect, you know, things like fields, forms, and even rules as well. Right. So by browsing into this level of content, as we kind of open up or close down these forms, we can see all of that information essentially provided as well. And for each of these fields lists, you can see all of the content that is essentially provided in here. You can see the types, you can see whether a field is actually a UI field, its status, where it's been inherited from, and the like too. Okay. Now, one thing I haven't covered yet is the rules. So let's just trim down this tree again. We'll jump into one of the rules list. And here are a list of all the rules that sit under this location level. You can see that there's some initialization rules or some lookups, all that sort of stuff as well. We have the layer, the rules in terms of where they sit, whether they're countrywide or state. And for any one of these particular rules, we can quickly jump in. We can have a look at the operation of the rule itself, or we can go into what we call the Blockly view. So one of the things that the InsureMO team have done is translated the raw content that is actually provided by ISO, and we present these rules in a Blockly manner, which I suppose makes it a little bit easier to understand potentially how the rule has been structured, how it's been nested, and also you know, some of the operations that are essentially used to create either an underwriting rule or potentially generate a rating algorithm as well. Okay, so you can actually filter out if you specifically just want to look at the rules layer. You can do that, you know, either at state or at countrywide level. So all of those rules are kind of provided, and all of the nesting of the rules and the sequence of the rules are presented in a graphical manner as well, again to help the user understand essentially how they have been you know, derived. We got a number of filters in here, so if you want, you could trim down the tree and only look at certain things. So you might want to, for some reason, take your rules out. You might want to take fields out as well, because you only want to look at forms and schedule. That might be a specific area of focus that you have in terms of browsing the content. So that's one thing you might want to do. We also allow the ability to change I suppose the display. So you may want to display by name, or you may want to display by description, because in some instances, you know, certain users are looking to look at descriptions, but you can always via hover over still be able to see the technical name, or vice versa, right? Just switching between that gives you the ability. You can search in the tree for any risk coverage or form. So any of these leaves within the tree, you can do a quick search on. We do have some view helpers here, so we can kind of, you know, expand, collapse. We can show legends and all that sort of stuff as well. Essentially, you know, making the browsing and the reading and the researching a little bit easier. So that's one presentation view. The second is our table view, and this is, I suppose, maybe a more traditional, you know, columns and rows view of a particular product. So here you can see all of the items that are presented in an ISO product, from risks, forms, coverage, schedule, and then we've got form pages, UI fields, calculation fields, and a number, you know, tables, both rate tables, domain tables, and we have the rules too as well. So in any one of these, again, you can look at it, you know, either country layer only, state layer only, looking at the combined layer, focusing on rules, etc. And for each one of these, you know, you can see kind of what's happening here. So when we're looking at the combined level, we still might want to be able to see, you know, what's been changed by the state, what was inherited from country, you know, is it a risk? Is it a is at that policy level, you know, from a parent perspective, and then kind of browsing through any of these various things, the UI fields. You know, you might be looking at some of the specific content in here, kind of browsing through those, you know, through those tables of content. So for example, for these rate tables, we can kind of further drill into any one of these tables, and you'll see that you know, some of them may you know, contain small amounts of content, and then some of the tables actually might have you know, a fair degree of content as well, and that might actually be displayed for either rating purposes or lookup purposes. Some of these tables are used for user interface drop-down fields. They might be used in rating algorithms. They might be using for, you know, underwriting logic and decision-making criteria and the like as well. So, you know, ISO presents obviously all of this content in very structured format. And what we've done is, you know, aim to kind of present this in an intuitive manner so that a business user can really look through this content and you know, understand it. So there's the ability to filter on certain things. So if for some reason you know, you wanted to kind of filter on the name, and you were then looking for a string of text, it just helps you filter down within the tables or within the items, and you can quickly find potential elements that you're looking for inside of that product as well. So the last thing we'll just quickly look at is inside of the rules themselves. So, you know, the actual, I suppose, sequence and structure of those rules, they're also available and presented. Now, one of the things that we do actually support actively is the ability to try anything out. So our design tool here is, and in this first video, we're really presenting, I suppose, the initial layout and structure of the product. In subsequent videos, we're going to be going through, you know, how you can actually take that product and start to customize it. Potentially you're starting to trim down some items that you don't want to use that is presented by ISO. You're removing coverages, you're removing risks, removing fields or tables. And then obviously, as part of the customization process, you're probably going to edit some content and possibly add some content of your own. So we're going to take you through that in a later video. But in all of these, the ability to kind of try it now. So between our design time, which are these screens, and our runtime, which is essentially sending over that product over to the runtime APIs, headless APIs, real-time validation of product, real-time processing of rules and rating. We also have a UI, it's a web component that hooks into those APIs and allows a user to try this out in real time, right? And we'll take you through that again in a slightly later video too. But by looking at the prior product, you can then essentially run all of those ISO rules, and you can look at the real-time rating worksheets and all that sort of stuff as well. So we're going to take you through that in one of the later videos. So yeah, hope you know, this gives you some context of how we're presenting ISO products in our digital insurance product library. We certainly look forward to you joining the next couple of sessions as we start to take you through the customization process of products. And then more interestingly, when it gets to actually inheriting ISO circulars, right? And when those circulars come out and they need to be you know, adopted and merged into your existing product, and really get into product management process from a productionization perspective, and how the InsureMO team you know, look to make that a pretty easy process through our design time and runtime tools. So thanks a lot for watching, and we look forward to coming back to you soon.